Hi, I'm Shaun Farrugia from Optimised Accounting. Part 2 of our video series of Do I Need Private Health Cover is aimed at people who are who've turned 30 and are wondering, do I need health cover and what's the loading all about? There's a lot of hype on TV about, once you turn, as soon as you turn 31 or July after your 31st birthday, if you don't have health cover, you're going to be severely penalised. What's it all about? What are all the numbers around it? This is what we're going to explain today. We're not going to take anything into account based on your income. If you're wondering how private health cover affects the Medicare levy surcharge, please refer back to the video that we did last week, which is available on our website. We're also not giving you any recommendation as to whether or not to have private health cover from a health perspective. We're simply talking about the dollars here. And all the figures we are mentioning is based on a single income premium of $1,000, and that's because the loading is attached to each person individually. So if it was for a couple, you could easily just double this to 2. Okay, so we're assuming first of all is that we're going to look at this in different age gaps of whether or not you get private health cover for the first time at age 30, 40, 50 and 60. We're ignoring inflation because we're just talking about dollars today, so we're assuming that the premiums are the same the whole way through. So what would happen is if you turn 30 or the July after your 31st birthday and you get private health cover and you're in for life unless you decide to cancel, there will be no penalty. There's no penalties the whole way through. You'll just pay $1,000 per year until you basically turn 65 or you decide to, until you die realistically. If you get it when you're 40, you'll pay 20% premium, so that's 2% for every year after the age of 30, and that's a penalty for not having the private health cover. That penalty applies for a 10-year period only, so once you turned 50, there'd be no penalty left. You'd actually pay the health cover as a 30-year-old would. So you turn 40, haven't had health cover for 10 years, what's the penalty? Between the ages of 40 and 50, so over a 10-year period, you'll pay an extra $2,000, basically an extra $200 per year. But what have you saved? Well, you haven't had private health cover for a whole 10-year period. So that saving is actually $10,000 because you've got the $1,000 there that you would have paid, but you haven't needed to pay it for 10 years. So you're actually $8,000 better off from a financial point of view. Now, if you turn 50, the numbers basically escalate. So the same premium, you've got that 2% per year, but in this case, you haven't had health cover for 20 years, so it's 40%. And that will stop once you turn 60. So it's once again only a penalty for 10 years, and then when you turn 60, it reverts back to the base. Over that time, so between the ages of 50 and 60, you would pay a penalty of $4,000 or $400 a year for 10 years. But you've saved $20,000 because between the age of 30 and 50, you've decided not to have health cover and you're better off by $16,000. Now, if you turn 60 and then you decide to go get health cover, basing it on the same premium, you haven't had health cover for 30 years at 2% per year. That's a 60% loading that you would pay between the age of 60 and 70 years old. Over that time, you're going to pay an extra $600 per year for 10 years, adding up to $6,000, but you've saved $30,000. So if you've saved $30,000, and that's by not having health cover between the ages of 60 and 30, so a 30-year period, you are better off. So from a numbers point of view, it's probably cheaper, and I believe it is cheaper to not actually have private health cover without taking into account the Medicare levy surcharge, which we've talked about in the first video based on your income. But in general terms, if you earn in that base tier and you earn under $90,000 as a single or $180,000 as a family, it's probably cheaper not to have it if you do trust Medicare and are happy to rely on Medicare. I'm not the right person to debate with on whether or not Medicare is suitable for you or your family. That's a decision that you'll need to make with your own research. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Next week, we're going to talk about the carrot and the stick approach of Medicare levy surcharge versus the private health rebates that the government offers and see what's valuable to you and which is the best way to go. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.